Yo guys, what's going on? LifeOfRio here. Listen, we're going to be talking about nerfs in Warframe. Has the nerfs been too harsh? What's Warframe been trying to implement? The game that they're trying to set into motion for players to play. Like, what's really happening here? So the thing for me is that there's no equivalent exchange in Warframe. For all my anime people out there, please guess this anime right of what I'm referring to. But there's no equivalent exchange in Warframe. The thing about it is that once Warframe nerfs something, most of the time it's unusable. At least most of the time. It's not all the time you can just go back to it and just, have fun and just do what you've been doing. It's when they nerf something, the hammer hits too hard. I'm talking about once the judge gives you that nerf, you're getting 25 to life. You're not getting out. So the thing is in Warframe, on why I say equivalent exchange, is that in most video games, whenever there's a nerf or something that occurs, they at least buff something in return. Just for you, like, let's say something was exploitable and you're exploiting it with that Warframe. Okay, you nerf it, fine. People are still upset, but fine. But in return, you buff something else to really change the meta of what things are happening with. Now, a lot of people out there feel some kind of way like when you use the word meta. Warframe even uses the word meta. They just used it in the last dev stream. They're trying to change the meta up. That's what they said. So if that's the case, why not buff in return? I've never seen a game to where, like, you just nerf something and make it unusable. Like Sinoid Gamma Core, just to touch up on some emotional topics right there. It's just a lot of great weapons and frames that Warframe have, and they'll nerf it so bad and they push the player base away from it. If your game is to make it to where the players actually use all of these things, if you're going to nerf something, I feel like an equivalent exchange is like necessary to where you give the frame something else. Like, let's use Gara as an example, right? I don't really care too much about Gara. So they nerf Gara's fourth ability. It was invincible. Now it's not. Whatever. That's the main important thing. The thing is, if you nerf it and then you put her through these harsh conditions to where, the enemies really have all the upper hand, at least buff her third ability. Third ability is a great ability, but the thing about it is that it has flaws in its mechanics on how it's actually implemented, because once the enemies break a few of the mirrors, then all of them break at the same exact time. They all shatter at the same exact time, which is weird. And I feel like that's a good way for her CC, that if you nerf the fourth ability, you can then actually help out the fourth with the current nerf that it has to give it more survivability. You kind of see what I mean? And that would add more synergy to her kit instead of you just using her fourth ability. Now, that's just one way of talking about it. As far as everything else in Warframe, I feel like the way how the devs go about it. Now, here's the thing. I'm not mad at the devs. I'm just not agreeing with a lot of the points that they take when it comes to implementing nerfs, and just the point that they take when it comes to saying that, we don't want you guys to use this anymore. Now, I can't say that's what they say, that we don't want you guys to use this anymore, but that's what the nerf says, because you nerf it so hard that it doesn't have a chance to be used anymore. Now, let's say this. It doesn't have to be meta. It doesn't have to be in the meta, but it needs to at least be usable. And then you go into this to where your player base knows that it was nerfed so hard that whenever you use certain things in, group aspects or whatever the case is, people don't want you in there because they said it's pointless for you to use this or pointless for you to use that. You guys can say what it is that you like about Warframe or what it is that you as a player do, but the whole point is that your players are actually the one that's, keeping things intact and keeping things to where it's being used and everything else like that. Now, one thing I really do want to say is that these nerfs really do hurt a lot of players' creativity and just diversity of playing the game. So like, if you really nerf a frame that hard, or just any frame, any weapon period, if you nerf it to the point to where it's not usable, you really kill diversity in your own game, because you really took that weapon out of the forefront of being used, and now you force players to actually use all of the same weapons. The problem in Warframe that I feel personally, this is not me attacking anything or just saying, is the diversity isn't high enough to where you don't have enough things that are good enough to be spread across the board for each player to be in different missions using a lot of different things. And I know Warframe's been trying to they've been trying to buff older weapons and things like that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these weapons that are getting buffed, they're being brought to the forefront of how the things were that they nerfed in the first place, so why not bring those things back? But I am only one person. I want to just point out these things. But the thing that really got me is to the point to where like when it kills creativity, that's when I'm really not for it. Like when it's really killing creativity, like if you go out your way to build these weapons, synergize these weapons, you have to have specific aura mods, specific conditions, certain type of frames, and you have to have a specific build to use these things, and you go out your way to spend hours and hours of your time to find these things and these unique things, and then it just gets nerfed entirely too fast. I feel like that's just a little too wrong, and that's something I can't be a part of, because it really takes away from a lot of players. And then imagine how those players feel after taking their time to really investing in the game and really finding the part to where, you know, they're playing Warframe, they're spending hours and hours in Warframe to come up with these unique builds and to find different aspects and different avenues for it just to be nerfed this fast. Now, I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of things that do come up to where it might be broken or it might be this, and those things definitely do need to be fixed. I'm not fighting that. I'm fighting for the point to where, like, when these things are nerfed, why is it nerfed to the point to where you cannot use it anymore? You cannot have fun with these things anymore, because the nerf hammer to me is entirely too strong. And I wanted to know what you guys feel about it in the comment section. Please let me know. This is a place for us to debate and just talk about different things. I just want to know how you guys feel about this, because as a player in the game and as a person that's looking at the game from a creative point of view, and I make videos for the game, and it's like while you're doing these things, you feel like you're locked in a box of things that you can only talk about. Like when you try to just get really unique in the game and bring creativity to different people, you feel like you can't really achieve that because, you know, the nerf hammer or things that you have to fear. And I feel like it's a wrong way of developing the game and really having a player base in such fear and such panic of like, okay, I don't want to use this, I feel like it's going to be nerfed, or this is going to be nerfed. Just really up the content. You know, I feel like a lot of these things could be, you know, fixed and avoided if the content was there for us. So what is this really about? Is this really about us not really, you know, is this really about us having things that are too powerful? Or is it because Warframe is just not implementing the content that we need? And do you guys feel like they're even going in that direction to give us that content? Now, this video is basically about us talking about these things, trying to understand what's going on. Do you guys feel like the nerf hammer is too strong and is implemented way too fast? Now, I do feel like if something is broken, it should be implemented as quick as possible to stop exploits. But if you really spend your time coming up with something really great and it's not breaking the game in any way, you just find out how to use it correctly, is that really wrong? And I'm really asking you guys this, like, please let me know. You know, but overall, I feel like there should be an equivalent exchange in Warframe. If you nerf something, buff something else on it. You know, if you nerf the ammo economy like really bad, have it to where the status is strong or the damage is there. And if you nerf the damage really bad, have it to where the ammo economy is there. You know, it's just, you got to offset something. You can't just take away everything to where we can't use it. And that's just always been my whole gist of the situation. So I really do hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much. Let's have a debate in the comment section. Now, everybody's going to have their different opinions. Just listen. You don't have to argue with someone. Just kind of see where they're coming from. Try to look at things from a neutral point of view instead of like replying and being like, oh, you're wrong, shut up. You know what I mean? So much love to you guys. Thank you for everything, and I will catch you guys later on the next Warframe video. Please be sure to follow me over on Twitch. I'm always streaming over there. We have a lot of changes and everything happening to the channel. Much love to you guys, and I will catch you guys later.